and welcome back to the African Diaspora News Channel. So we're taking a hard look at a decision that has shaken the Caribbean, and it comes from Port of Spain. At the recent emergency CELAC meeting, that's a community of Latin America and Caribbean states, leaders across Latin America and the Caribbean spoke with one voice. They stood united against foreign military intervention in the region. But in that moment of unity, one nation broke ranks: Trinidad and Tobago. The Twin Island Republic became the only CARICOM member to side with foreign intermediaries, giving a green light for warships, submarines, and troops to enter Caribbean waters. Now, the official line from the government is that this decision is about tackling transnational crime. But let's be honest with ourselves. Foreign warships in the Caribbean have never, ever been about protecting us. They are always about projecting power, about maintaining control, and about reminding smaller nations who really calls the shots. And by siding with them, critics say that Trinidad and Tobago government has placed itself on the wrong side of history. Let's put this into perspective. Even nations like Argentina, Ecuador, and Panama, countries with their own history of alignment with foreign bodies, stood firm and said no. They rejected military buildup in our hemisphere, but Trinidad and Tobago stood alone, clapping for them, while the rest of CELAC defended sovereignty and independence. I mean, how are we going to claim independence when we can't even help ourselves? No, this has sparked outrage across region because at a time when Trinidad and Tobago faces soaring crime rates, entrenched corruption, and economic challenges at home, the government has chosen to weaken regional unity instead of strengthening it. They chose isolation over solidarity.
A lot of this fear mongering. There have been no discussions with the US or anyone else. However, I repeat, should Venezuela invade Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago will definitely step forward in defense of our cousins, our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. I will dare to do what I have to do to keep the people of Trinidad and Tobago safe. That is my priority. I've said TNT first. That is my priority. I have no intention, we've had no discussions of invading Venezuela, of stepping onto Venezuelan soil. Nothing of the sort has happened.
So now many are asking, what exactly did Trinidad and Tobago gain from this? What promises were made? What commitments were secured? Or was this simply bending the knee for empty pledges of security and assistance that history shows rarely materialize? Well, for decades, the Caribbean has been used as a chessboard in global politics. From Cold War interventions to trade wars, we've seen time and time again how larger powers manipulate small islands, states to advance their own agenda, and the scars are still visible. This is why CELAC's unified voice was so important, because unity is the only shield small nations have against outside interference.
Very early, we were one single community. The lives in the Caribbean Sea and the coast of the state Sucre, Trinidad and Tobago has been a life of cooperation and brotherhood. It's only now when this lady comes in, there has never been a governor of Trinidad and Tobago to threaten a war against Venezuela. Who is behind this? Who is imposing the intrigue? Who's whispering in the ears of this lady? How is she able to declare this? Who is behind all this? Marco Rubio, of course.
And yet in this moment, Port of Spain chose to step away from that shield. Critics have not minced words. They call it betrayal, they call it weakness, they call it selling out sovereignty for crumbs, mere crumbs. And let's be clear, this isn't just about Trinidad and Tobago, it's about the precedent this sets. If one Caribbean government breaks ranks today, what happens tomorrow? Does it fracture CARICOM unity? Does it invite even more foreign interference? Does it undermine the very independence that so many of our nations fought and bled to achieve? The stakes are high, and a regional analyst said, history will not forgive those who sell out the Caribbean. The people of Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean, deserve leaders who defend sovereignty, not surrender it. Leaders who put the interests of their people above the demands of foreign powers. Leaders who stand shoulder to shoulder with their Caribbean brothers and sisters and not turn their backs on them. Make no mistake, when the dust settles, this decision will definitely be remembered. And the question will always be asked, whose side were you really on, Trinidad? The side of sovereignty and regional independence, or the side of empire? That's a debate, and it's one that Trinidad and Tobago cannot ignore.